Hi everyone. Welcome to 2021. Happy New Year.
Yeah, first live of 2021. Hello, guys. We hope you're well. I hope you're having a good, strong, intentional start to the year. But if you're not, don't worry, because we've got you. We've got some cool stuff to talk about this afternoon. So, Lisa, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about the things that you can do in your business right now that are really simple. Like we were talking about this offline just a moment ago. And just really seeing more around mastering the basics, like going back to basics can really be a powerful thing to do. Like it can really strengthen your enrollments, it can strengthen your coaching, like the whole shebang. So
the confidence piece, right? It's like it helps you be more confident in what you're doing because you're just keeping it simple. You're doing one step at a time. And to give context, and it's only fair that we say this is a lot of this is coming from our experience lately, having a really strong reminder of just going back to basics, keeping it super, super simple, and have that be what grows your business. And it's really worked for us, and it's something that we're going to continue to work on. And we want to share that with you.
Off the back of that, Sam, like one of the things that I really saw, so Sam and I are in a program at the moment that we just really started at the weekend. And what I noticed was as they were sharing things with us, I was making notes and my mind was automatically filtering out like what I knew. So there was only like I was partially writing notes essentially, right? It's like, oh, I'm hearing what they're saying, I know all of this, so I was just writing some bits. And then when I really started to question myself, I started to look at that because people were talking about, I do everything that these people teach us to do, like everything, and it works. So I really heard that and I was like, oh yeah, I see how my mind just filtered that out. So I know about that, but I'm not doing that bit of it. I'm doing my version of it. I wonder what would happen if I did that bit of it. So it's really being willing to master the basics and not filter out what we think we know or what we should be doing instead or what might be better. And just being willing to go there and see what happens if I do this. And it isn't about creating, a cookie cutter approach to stuff. But it really was learning to be willing to put my thoughts and my ideas of something to the side and get back to basics and do it and see what happens. So we've been playing around with that and we've really seen it in action, even just today. It's been cool, hasn't it?
It's been awesome. And I think it's just really important reminder that some of the most powerful transformational tools for us and our clients are the simplest ones. So we wanted to come on and share 3 things with you that you can listen to, absorb, reflect on, and think about how you can take them into your own businesses right now. No matter what stage you're at, no matter how long you've got, no matter how far along you are in your coaching career or how far you are along in your coaching business, this is going to be something that will be useful for you wherever you're at, whatever stage.
These are things you can do now. It's not a new skill you need to go and learn so you can implement first. It's like you can do these all now. Yeah. So the first one that we wanted to talk about was like starting, right? Start now.
Yeah.
It's really simple. Have you started yet? Are you thinking about starting? Are you finding excuses not to start? Are you doing a lot of learning that's putting you off from connecting with people? What would starting now look like? What would it feel like? And we're aware that sometimes the language we use can be heard differently. So we've had conversations recently where we say things like, go all in. Are you all in with us? And then people say, no, because I've got all of these other commitments going on, so I can't go all in. Which made me hear something different. Like, hey, what do you think I mean by all in? You can go all in even if you have 1 hour a week. Go all in for that 1 hour. Going all in doesn't mean full-time coaching, 35 hours a week. It can mean showing up fully in the time that you have and being really intentional. I'm going to create my business starting now, and I just have 2 hours a week to dedicate to it. Yep. And for those 2 hours, it's going to be in my calendar and going to be really intentional about it.
that word. That's the word. It's that intention piece. If our intention truly is to grow a coaching business and have that be something that we love, we've got to make a start. And this also includes, right, for me, this also includes those of us that do have a business and we kind of stopped some of the basics, we stopped some of the simple stuff. And it's like, let's start that back up again, that connection piece, the invitation piece. Let's look at the names, let's get people into conversation. That comes up for me in this as well. It's like, where are we at? And let's start. So
yeah, and the intention piece is linked very much to the second one, which is around commit to yourself. And Sam's given me permission to share this, but before we went into this school, we were talking about it. It's a huge investment for us. And
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, do we want to be investing in this? Is now the right time to invest in this? Is there something else we want to be doing? So we had all of those conversations, and it felt really edgy for us to invest that sum of money. And I was like, I want to be in so bad. I want to be in so bad. And Sam was like, I want to be in, but and in fairness to Sam, like if we got to the stage where we're like only one of us can go, he was willing to fund half for me to go. So we had those kind of conversations. And I asked him, like, what would you get up at 2 o'clock in the morning for? Because it's based in LA, so the time zones has us up. We start at like...
They were pretty savage, but it was good.
We start at 6 p.m. and we run to like 1 in the morning, or we started at half past 3.
We started at 12:30 and then ended up at 3:30.
Yeah, so I was like, what would you need to see that would get you out of bed at midnight to start work?
Yeah.
And that shifted something for you, hey?
It did, and it also made me realize that, and this is another part of really committing to yourself, is committing to all of yourself, including the uncomfortable bits too. Because thankfully, me and Lisa work in a partnership where we can see each other and we'll challenge each other. And what was coming up for me around this wasn't really that. It was just that I was really uncomfortable about it. I'm stepping into a world of what I see as really successful coaches, and it felt really edgy and it felt really uncomfortable. And it is a lot of money, right? It was a huge investment for both of us. Ironically, after we'd signed up for that, we then went and signed up for another coach for a year, which I don't know how we ended up doing that, but we have. But that's just the way that it goes, right? We're committed, but there's something in that. Once we committed, I saw what commitment creates on a completely different level. And so it's not saying everybody has to do that, but it's just inviting you to consider what you really need to be committed to right now. And being committed to all of you, not just the bits that feel comfortable, because when we do that, what we can do is do the work that feels easy, it feels okay, but not do the work that sometimes feels uncomfortable, but often is most important. So again, it comes back to that simple step. What is it that I've got to do? Go do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's number 2, commit to it.
Yes.
Number 3 was around mastering the basics. So we have a few things that we can share. We're going to try and keep this quite brief for you, but there's some practical stuff, and again, there's some like inner stuff that we really need to work on. That is still a basic aspect of it, I suppose. Yeah. But the first thing that came up for me was around really helping your client to feel safe and for you to feel safe. And one of the most simplest ways to do that is to create some context at the beginning of the session, and even before the session, to set up the session. So when you have your client with you, or your prospective client with you, or anyone that you're just connecting with and entering into a coaching conversation with, have you had a coaching conversation before? No? Would it be helpful if I was to share what we're going to do for the next 90 minutes? That would be really helpful. Okay, here's how it's going to work. Or have you ever had any kind of therapy? Do you know the difference? Would it be helpful if I explain the difference? How are you feeling about this session? Be honest. We have 90 minutes together today. I don't want you to worry about running out of time. I want you to know that we'll get to everything. And if we need more time, we can set up more time. So there's things that you can do at the beginning of a session to just set that context, to help you relax into it and to help your client relax into it, and to create some agreements of how you're both going to show up in that session.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. And the second one was the gap conversation. So I don't know how many people will know about the gap conversation, but it's essentially, you might have heard of the Wheel of Life, something like that. So it's looking at like, where are you currently in your life? Like, I want to really get a picture of what's going on for you in your world, because often a client can come and they can get straight into their problems, straight into their challenge, straight into their anxiety, straight into their thinking about things. And we don't take a really like holistic look at what is going on in their world. And so slowing down and really getting to know them can be so helpful, really helpful, not just for you as a coach, but for the client to see this. So use the Wheel of Life. Like, use that as a tool if you have it. It can be really helpful. Get people to, categorize. You can categorize for them. So relationships, career, finance, family, health. So think of the categories, or get them to talk about what's the most important things, and then get them to score it. Where are you? 1 to 10. 1 is really not content at all. 10 is super fulfilled and content in that area. And then you ask questions about it. Tell me why that's a 5. What would make that a 6? What needs to be different for that to feel like a 10? So you're starting to paint a picture of their current life, and then you're also asking them, where do we need to go to help you move those numbers out, to help you feel more fulfilled in those areas? So if you struggle with curiosity, that's a great tool to have. A great tool to have to just start to prompt some conversation.
It really is, especially, I say especially, there is a lot of that in there for me, especially if we're new to coaching. It's useful for all of us as coaches, kind of fundamental in some respects, like really having an idea of how we can support our clients longer term as well. But also, when we're new to coaching, sometimes we can go into those conversations where maybe we're inviting somebody into a conversation and we go, oh, what do we talk about? What do I talk about? I know they've got this thing, but what else can we talk about? And the really nice thing about this is we get to spend some time with them, like Lisa was saying, set some context. Hey, in this session, what we can do is zoom out in your life and just look at lots of different areas and see where you're at now, where you want to be, and we have some time to talk about the issue that you want to talk about. And what that allows us to do is just, again, feel more comfortable going into that session. And we've got then some things to work with people on, because what me and Lisa were talking about before this, and something that's really important, I think, to talk about, especially the way the world is now with marketing and niching and all these other things to do with coaching that I'm sure most of you have heard of by now. The reason that people will sign up with us as coaches is because they've had an experience of us where they feel listened to, they feel heard, they feel like the space that we've created is a space that they want more of, that they feel that they can create change within. And so having that session with somebody allows their mind to start seeing that, to start experiencing that. And that, for me, when we call it, well, I mean, Lisa introduced me to this idea and I've just seemed to have adopted it, like moving the needle for somebody. I don't know where you got that from, Lisa.
I don't know either.
It's just there. So moving the needle for somebody, if they feel like even just a tiny bit, it's like, oh, this was really helpful. And then we can start creating another conversation. But it's just, for me, the basics of that are just so fundamental for the coach and the coachee, that we just wanted to tell you about it again, just to remind you of that. And if you're hearing it for the first time and you would like to know more about it, if you're still listening at this point in the video, you can email us and I'll put it in the comments. And if you want to email us, we will send you an example of the Wheel of Life that you could play with and have a go with your clients.
Yeah. And if you have questions around navigating the gap conversation, or you're not clear on, I still don't really understand how I would do this, what are you guys talking about? Let us know, because we'll do a whole live on the gap conversation.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. And I guarantee there will be things, if you are having it, there'll be things that you are maybe missing. Yeah. That could be tweaked, that could be finessed, that could strengthen your enrollment process, that could have the client leave that session really feeling like the needle had moved, like there was possibility for them, and excited about working together.
Yeah.
Like that's what that conversation can do. Yeah. So it's called GAP because where they are now, where they want to get to.
GAP.
What's getting in the way?
Yeah.
What's the gap?
Exactly that.
Yeah. Should we leave it there?
Yeah, other than to say, as you may or may not know, if you haven't been, if you don't know about this, where have you been? Been hiding under a rock somewhere for like the last 8 weeks. But we are running an event at the end of this month, starting on the 28th, Coaching Extravaganza. And in part, it will be a lot of this kind of thing, like helping you create your vision for this year and getting on with it, getting into action. So there's going to be tons of coaching in there. But we have, with me and Lisa, obviously,
just you can't get away from us.
two of the world's best coaches. And in addition to us, we have 3 other of the world's best coaches coming in to support us. So we have all 3 of them are our coaches. 2 of them that are running the school that we're in, and another one who we've signed up with for a year. And if you've not heard of these coaches, then go and check out the Extravaganza page. Go and have a look at who they are. Go and look them up on their website. They're incredible coaches, and they will help you see things differently. They'll support you and help you learn the art of the business of coaching. And it's going to be the single best event. I mean, it's free as well. It's ridiculous, really, but it's going to be the best event of this year for coaching. It's going to be unreal.
Yeah.
So
we don't care if you never have anything to do with us ever again. No. Right? We really don't care if you're like, Sam and Lisa are not my thing, but we really urge you to come and experience Amber, Carolyn, and Gary. They are phenomenal. And if you are really sincere about being in this profession, you can learn so much from them. So bring your questions and your challenges. You can get coached by them live on these calls. So I really urge you not to miss this one.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, lots of love, guys. Let us know your thoughts if you have any. If there are questions, put them in the comments. Don't hold back. Like if you don't ask the question, you're never going to get the answer, and we are here to help. So if you want to ask a question, please do. We'll leave the link to the Extravaganza and our email in the comments as well, in case you want them. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.
See you next week.